Hello everyone. It's James. And in today's video I want to specifically talk about verbal abuse on men. And even more specifically, verbal abuse on men at the hands of women, and before anyone says anything, and starts screaming to the mountaintops, that this problem can happen to both genders. I want to inform you, I'm very aware of this fact. That is why though my channel has been designed for men that are abused, there have been from time to time women that have been abused that get good information from my videos to walk away from their abuser, which to me is good news. And I'm glad everyone is finding something in my videos that can help them. But there is a distinct difference between verbally abused men at the hands of women, and women that are verbally abused at the hands of men, and that major difference is that society gives a green light to and says it's not only okay but normal for women to verbally abuse men, and to emotionally beat down and to control the men in their life. Whether it be a man they are dating or married to, or a man they work with or manage, this kind of negative behavior is high-fived in our society, and is seen as a rite of passage for a woman to learn to not only to control and manipulate, but to verbally beat down and destroy males they may encounter in their lives. And sadly this is how many women are brought up from the moment they can walk and talk, and since most marriages these days have been known to end in divorce, it's a high chance young girls are raised in homes with a single mother, and get a front row seat to watch how their mother fights, argues and name calls this man on the other end of the telephone that is her father. And the few times she's allowed to see her father he's always broke and has no money, and his life seems like a miserable mess. Though he tries to put on a smile on his face to enjoy the small amount of time he is allotted with his daughter, this young girl grows up watching her mother manipulate and mistreat man after man with no stability in her life. And the minute it seems like things are going the direction they should be, she witnesses her mother destroy any new good relationship with more verbal abuse. Now you would think any young girl growing up like this would feel sorry for their father and would not want to repeat the disaster of their mother. And though many do feel sorry for their father, that same many still end up repeating the toxic and verbally abusive cycle of their mothers. Shocking, right? Not really actually. We've been told for years and years about males that may have witnessed accounts of their abusive father hurting their mother end up repeating the cycle when getting older and entering adulthood. And many of these same young boys would stand in between their mother and their abusive father and would try to fight and defend their mother. So why on earth would they turn out to be something that they despised? Well, the simple answer is usually in such a bad situation and growing up process, they are more than likely as no one to step in and correct the emotional damage that is done to such a young child, and to teach them how to manage their emotions and behaviors in a constructive way. Thus many develop serious warps in their personality ranging from codependency to narcissism, and they without knowing it end up becoming the very thing they hated as a child. So the question becomes if boys that are exposed to abuse in one form or another when they are children have a greater chance at becoming abusers when they get older. Why wouldn't that same possibility be for young girls that witness abuse in one form or another when growing up? The truth of the matter is there is no difference, and both stand the same equal chance at having warps in their personalities and the same chance to grow up to becoming abusers themselves. And this is the main difference between how society sees abuse between men and women and men, and more so when we are talking about verbal abuse. Because when it's happening to the men it's made to seem as funny, or the man needs to just take it and deal with it. I mean, just turn on the television and watch it over the course of the day, and count how many times a man is verbally abused or mistreated, and you will be amazed how many instances you find. This is where awareness is needed instead of needless complaining. This is where both men and women will need to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute. There is a problem here. Society shouldn't have this double standard. Because whenever there is a double standard it leaves one group to abuse another group without consequence, which will have a major impact on the males coming up in the next generation and the generation after that. All of their masculinity and manliness will be beat out of them. And the women that want a real man won't be able to find one because abusive women made these men conform to accept their manhood was not to be celebrated or shown. and that receiving abuse at the hands of the woman wasn't only normal but needed in order to keep order in the world that these types of women want to create. The world where the men serve and the women are to be served without question, and though oftentimes these verbally abusive relationships turn physical, the reality is beating someone down with words is effective in the manipulating and controlling of another human being. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that when you are being complimented and treated well, you have a better feeling of well-being about yourself. And the quality and length of your life when treated well would be longer. But when abused and yelled at all the time, and criticized, a person can go into a deep depression with other health problems following. And then at some point having an early death. It's pretty much a given. Kind words and love make things grow, thrive and live longer. But mean words and hate and mistreatment makes things wilt and die very fast. So what is to be done about this problem? Awareness, 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 awareness. Men need to exit the relationship the minute the signs of verbal abuse start to rear its ugly head. And to not be dissuaded by fake apologies and gifts. This is a tool and tactic used by any abuser in the beginning stages of securing their victim. And it's a tactic I've talked about in many of my videos. It's called the sweet mean cycle, but as time goes on and they know they have you as a secure victim in their grasp, the apologies fade away and never to reappear. And you are now stuck being brutalized and working around on eggshells. The key is to not only to be aware but to take positive action. And what I mean by positive action is to leave and leave fast no matter what gift or explanation was given to you. That person is an abuser and it's only going to get worse. Do not second guess yourself. And the mistake many victims make is taking the gifts and apologies and second guessing themselves. Now I'm not saying one should not have a forgiving heart, because a heart without forgiveness is a hard heart. But there is a difference between forgiveness and standing in front of a speeding truck. Okay, you can forgive the driver for speeding towards you, but don't you think it's a good idea to get out of the way and walk off the road instead of standing there only to become roadkill? So in short, leave that person and don't look back. The next thing that needs to be done with this newfound awareness out there is for the women that say, I'm not like that. This doesn't apply to me. I say do something about this problem just like the men are doing. Speak out even if it's not popular. And stand against the way the toxic women out there want society to go. Because if you don't, the world your children will wake up to will be a sad one, where your sons will have a more than a better chance at getting abused, divorced, left penniless and unable to see your grandchildren. So if you love your sons and daughters, you will say something. Because we are all responsible for the sound we give our trumpet and how loud we blow this trumpet to warn and help others. And in this day and age with information, it's possible to turn things around with even some of us, because not everyone is going to change. But there are some that are just walking around in a fog waiting for this information to hit them so they can say, oh my God, this is the problem my family has lived through. I need to start making some changes right now. And if that happens in someone's life, then I'm happy for them. Like I always say, knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can see through the lies, get to the truth, and make a better future for our children, and their children, and their children, and so on. Until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself, and don't forget to subscribe, comment and rate. Participating is one way to start the ball of awareness to move forward. And the more steam this ball gets, the faster it will move forward.